Hey there guys, Octavian here. Sorry about the lack of a video yesterday. I do try to get them out daily, but just wasn't quite feeling up to snuff yesterday. I think maybe I am coming down with something of a cold, but knock on wood, hopefully not. That would be bad, seeing as I kind of talk quite a bit, and a cold can interfere with that. But anyways, a few things I want to mention while I have the time here before people get to their lanes and before the action really begins in this game. First off, I wanted to mention that this replay was sent in to me by the Misfortune on Blue Team, who is the Alex Mana. Wonderful guy, has a great YouTube channel. It'll be in the description, and you should go check it out if you so desire. In addition to that, this Sunday I will be shoutcasting for the North American Go for LOL tournament. My Twitter will be in the description, as well as a link to their Twitch page. You can either go ahead and follow their Twitch page and you'll see when it goes live, or you can follow my Twitter and I'll tweet about it when it does begin. So, if you're interested in seeing that when it happens, just click on one of those two links and click on the follow button, and you'll be good, you'll be set. You can figure out exactly when I'll be live casting for the wonderful people over at the ESL. And now that we're about a minute and a half into the game, I'm done with all the meta stuff that doesn't directly pertain to this game, and I can get right into the shoutcasting while Jinx and Udyr spam taunts next to each other. Let's get into some of the matchups, shall we? Since we still quite aren't in lane yet, we have a Jinx and a Lulu facing off against a Misfortune and a Leona. Now, in terms of matchups, I think that's probably going to be a fairly skill-based matchup, since both have very high damage outputs. Both lanes there do. I mean, honestly, I think maybe Misfortune Leona has one of the highest damage outputs early in the game of any bottom lane duo of support needing carry that you could find. One of the downsides, of course, is that they are not very good at playing the lane if they fall behind. Misfortune has no mobility, no skill shots, nothing that she can use to like work her way back into the lane if she falls behind. But if she gets ahead, especially with a Leona, that lead can become insanely oppressive and difficult for the enemy team to come back from. So it's a bit of a reckless lane here from Blue Team, but the same sort of thing could be said for Purple Team. They at least do have a little bit more defensiveness because Lulu offers quite a bit in the ways of protecting an AD carry with, of course, Wild Growth as well as Health Picks, which picks can be very helpful now and again. So, anyways, we'll get into some of the action proper. It looks like Leona's going down very low. Zap does not quite get sidestepped. There's going to be a few more rockets coming her way, but she turns around with the Zenith Blade, gets the stun, and all the passives are procced by that hail of bullets from Misfortune. Double kill for Misfortune early on here. As I was saying, Misfortune can become oppressive if she gets a lead in a lane, especially against somebody like Jinx, who is immobile and has no way of instantly getting out of her range and making it a lot harder for her to trade, since Misfortune is very, very good at trading. Vladimir going to the pool of blood a little bit early there. Yeah, it doesn't really have much follow-up to that. Charm not quite hitting rather, from Ahri as the flag and drag comes in from Jarvan. Lands the auto attack for the slow, but Yasuo immediately flashes away. Though that is a flash burned. That is a flash burned in the middle lane. Jarvan successfully getting a gank off, and Blue Team here only nearly 4 minutes into the game, I would say have quite a nice lead on the map for themselves. They have the pressure lead in the middle lane with Yasuo having his flash down, even though he is still pushing up, which is a little bit of a mistake, I'd like to say, from his part. Without that flash up, and with the amount of ganking potential that a Jarvan just kind of has all the time, it's going to be very, very dangerous for him to be pushed up past the river in this lane. At least he has some decent ward coverage there. Lulu actually roaming up from the bottom lane to place a ward for him. Very generous of the Lulu support there. Just making sure, not just supporting the bottom lane, also supporting the middle lane. Being the best support that she can be. Coming back down, though, going to be helping out Jinx, and I'm going to see how that bottom lane turns out after giving 2 kills over to the Misfortune. That, you might say that is unfortunate for Purple Team. Anyways, the one matchup we have yet to talk about, and which is equally interesting as the others, let's not give it a blind eye here, is the top lane matchup between Vladimir and Kale. One of the interesting things about that matchup, actually, is the summoner spell choices. Vladimir has chosen to go with an Ignite, whereas Kale has gone with a Teleport, and I honestly would have expected that to go the other way. Vladimir has a very powerful mid-game-ish point, where after getting a first few buys, so he has his Spell Vamp item built up there, and some health transferring into AP, just giving him all that sustain in lane, then he's quite good at just sticking around in the lane with only 2 or 3 items in his inventory. But speaking of top lane, he's going up pretty aggressive. Kale now getting ganked by the Jarvan, though, doesn't quite get knocked up. Hit by the slow. Doesn't have a red buff, though, but there is Burke flashing forward. Another flash. 3 flashes. She's burning, and the spear brings down Kale. Well done. Well done by Jarvan. Little bit close there. I thought for a moment he wasn't going to be able to get that, but the very tip of the spear is just about in range. And you know what's interesting? Bottom lane seems to be swinging back in the favor of Jinx here, at least. In terms of pressure, she's kept up very nicely in terms of CS. Has actually the same exact creep score as Miss Fortune, although as I say that, she gets another one, so... Has a lead, in fact, and is pushing the Miss Fortune back under the tower here, and has them lower on health, so... This is a good sign for the Jinx. It means that Miss Fortune is perhaps not playing as aggressively as she could with the lead that she had, or maybe just made a few technical misplays here or there, and so it's a bit lower on health than perhaps she'd like to be. But, actually, we just saw Miss Fortune eat a biscuit. That's interesting. Usually you don't see an AD carry pick up that many points to the utility tree that they actually have those total biscuits of rejuvenation. It does mean that Miss Fortune's probably going to be lacking a little bit in early damage, which might help explain why, despite the fact that she got that double kill early on, one of which was the first blood, if I recall, she didn't quite have the ability to take full advantage of it. But we were talking about the top lane, and I expected... The summoner spells were interesting to me, because I expected Kale to try and push what she obviously has, the early advantage in this lane. And, I mean, Teleport is a steadfast standby of all top laners now, regardless of matchup. It's never a bad choice, just because of how strong Teleport currently is. But, if anyone were to be taking the Ignite in that lane, I would have expected the Kale to, whereas I would have expected the Vlad to go with Teleport, which is a summoner spell much more focused towards simply letting someone survive in a weak early game, which is what a Vlad has to do, especially in a lane against a Kale. So I'm a little bit surprised by the summoner spells. But what I'm not surprised by so far is the item pickups. However, we have another gank from Jarvan. He's landing the slow onto Jinx, but the Flame Chomper is going to dissuade him from chasing any further, as Vlad really likes to use that pool. He does always use it on a minion wave, so he does get back some of the health investment from it, but it costs a bunch of health to use, so that might be hurting him a bit more than it's helping him, just to use that pool to farm a little bit under the tower. However, he seems to be alright in the lane. He is behind in CS, but he has not yet died, and Kale has. Jarvan coming in to equalize that lane a little bit, as we saw earlier. But you know what's interesting? Despite the fact that we're 3-0 up for blue team here, and Jarvan's been doing some good work creating pressure all over the map. Ooh, Leona going in, she lands the full combo, and there is a fully channeled bullet time across Jinx's face. Oof, that hurts. That hurts. There's very little else I can say about that. That was perfectly timed Leona combo, landing the stun just after the stun wore off, keeping Jinx right in the middle of all of those bullets that Miss Fortune was somehow inexplicably shooting out of only 2 guns. I don't get how that works. I really don't. Miss Fortune shoots so many bullets. Where are her other guns? Jarvan taking his blue buff, as we did see Udyr take his red, so that is the second rotation of buffs going down here, I believe, at around 9 minutes into the game. Yeah, the timing's about the second, and I don't think we saw any buffs sneakily taken out before these ones, so... We have some pings from Jarvan. He's coming up top. There is a ward that spots him out. Vlad going aggressive a bit too early, though. Uses the pool as a gap-closing mechanism. And Kale with her ulti is going to be able to survive long enough to bring him down. Now, can Jarvan finish off the Kale? The red buff is burning. One more auto attack. Side of the spear, bringing down Kale. But Vlad really didn't have to die in that engagement. He went in a bit too aggressive. And there's Yasuo using last breath, bringing that Ahri up into the air and keeping her there. But does not quite have the damage output to keep going with it. He hasn't gone back to base yet. He has only a Doran's Blade still, and so Ahri was fairly healthy at the start of that engagement and kind of close to her tower too, so he just didn't really have the potential to finish off that kill. Though, to be fair, he's going to regenerate back the small amount of health that he lost, as well as a well-placed wind wall made it so they didn't lose quite that much health, really. So He did come out ahead in that trade, but Ari's ulti is still up, whereas his is down. Leona finds Jinx out of position. The solar flare lands. She's going down so quick here. As I said, this combo can just do so much damage if they get ahead. Leona with early levels, her passive stacks over and over again. Well, it doesn't actually stack. That's the word. I should have gone with a slightly different phrasing there. I'm meaning her passive stacks up in terms of damage over and over again. But Trivectus might be in a little bit of trouble. No, he's not. The damage stacks up, is what I meant to say, but my phrasing was off. Anyways, they do lots of damage, as you saw, by the fact that Jinx lost lots of health, which is generally the prerequisite for doing that to someone, and Burp is in a little bit of trouble. There's a huge minion wave. He can't really realistically fight here. Kale's doing lots of work. He turns around for the transfusion, but Kale immediately gets Reckoning up right then. Has the AoE ranged attack. Gonna flash forward, maybe for this flashes before it gets the auto attack. Yeah, that's basically as I expected. I didn't really expect her to wander back to the tower, but she has enough health. She'll be able to tank that up. Jinx ulti coming out. Gonna be just kind of poking the Misfortune. Did drop her movement speed buff, though, so maybe Udyr can catch up. Not quite soon enough, though. Ooh, nice charm lands onto Lulu, and that is some good damage coming out from the Ahri. Lulu's down at nearly gone. Ahri with... Oh, I was about to say only a Doran's ring, but it looks like she's gone back to base. She has a needlessly large rod at this point. So that's where that damage came from. It's been known to happen that when you have a lot of AP, you do a lot of damage on Ahri. Here comes Jarvan. He has the Cataclysm onto this Kale. She cannot escape. It's a 1v1 duel. Who will win? Jarvan will win. Killing spree for Trivectus. This Jarvan's doing quite a bit of work all across the map here. He's been top, he's been bottom. Didn't quite work out bottom. That's all right, though. Leona and Misfortune are doing some of their own work down there. And he's been mid as well, I believe. It looks like we've got a visual bug here in the Leona. That's a little bit silly looking. She's constantly on fire in a circle or something like that. I'm not even sure what that is supposed to be when the Flame Chompers hold you up like that. Is it a flaming circle or is it just kind of like a glowy effect? Whatever. Leona's got a visual bug. Sometimes low replay does that. I apologize. Hopefully it's not too very distracting. And you know what? Despite the fact that it's 7-2 and blue team has a 5-kill lead because that's how numbers work, they don't really have that much of a gold lead, honestly. They're only 300 gold ahead here, and a lot of that might be attributed to this top lane where Kale has a 40-odd CS lead up on this Vladimir, but here's Jarvan trying to fix that. Comes in, lands the knockup. The Divine Intervention used just to block some of the damage from the Vladimir. Can she turn this around? No! Trivectus has the burst necessary right at the end there to bring down Kale before she can finish off the Vlad. Well done. Well done. Though, to be fair, he probably just kind of used his cooldowns as soon as they came up. So perhaps Vladimir again going a little bit too aggressive, but this time he got lucky. He got a little bit lucky as the Orb Deception and the Charm both entirely whiff. Yasuo choosing that option to go in right there, but he's also whiffing. Both of his Qs so far have not landed. His third one does. He gets the knockup. He's going in with the last breath. He's doing a lot of damage, but the Charm lands after he flashes away. He's pulled back under tower, and he goes down. The one-on-one going over to Ahri. Yasuo misplayed that a little bit. He went a little bit too aggressive under the tower after missing one of his Qs, and so he didn't quite have the damage to bring her down before her charm came back up just in time for her to charm him after he flashed away, which is quite a nice charm, by the way. Instantly cast right where he flashed to as soon as he pulled off the flash, so well done. Kill going back over to Ahri, which is certainly going to help her out in that lane. Yeah, Yasuo has a CS lead as well, which is probably, again, where part of the lead is coming from. You know what? Even Jinx has a CS lead on purple team, so that's probably the reason why blue team's only 1,000 ahead, despite being 7 kills up. Purple team just seems to be better at killing those minions, whereas blue team is better at killing those players. Which is probably due to this Jarvan doing so much work across the map. The jungler for blue team has been far more effective this game, whereas the laners for purple team have been more consistent. Anyways, we'll see how that plays out as the game goes on, because we are gonna get to see how this game goes on. Isn't that fun? Jarvan looking to get a gank in the bottom lane. He has the red buff, but he doesn't really have a good opening. Meanwhile, up in top, we have Mini Tank and Burke going at it. He goes in with the pool. He drops the Ignite as well. Does he have the ulti? Vlad doesn't have his ulti up. Why is he taking this fight? He can't do it! Mini Tank 2000 has slain Burke 360. These names are great. Yeah, without Hemoplague, I don't see any way that Vladimir can one-on-one this Kayle, and even with Hemoplague, it's a tricky proposition, because this Kayle is ahead in the lane, despite being yanked a few times. Here we see the teleport coming in from the Udyr, who did go teleport smite, by the way. And now Ahri might be in a little bit of trouble. However, Jarvan is there with the Cataclysm, saves Ahri's life. She's dashing around. Dashes right next to the Udyr, though, and he takes that opportunity. He's happy with that. Stuns her up. Now he's chasing after the Jarvan. He has the red buff and he has the stun. Jarvan flashes, but it's not enough. Tiger stance dot plus a red buff. Double kill to Udyr. Teleport really paying off. That was a strange spirit rush from the Ahri there, using the last charge to dive in next to the Udyr. It's kind of where Udyr wants you. He'll take that small amount of damage in return for being able to slap you in the face with a bear claw. It's just stay away from Udyr's hands. They are where he does most of his work, and Lulu, you cannot do that. You cannot take the 1v1 against a 3-0 Misfortune. I'm sorry, your lane's doing well enough considering the circumstances, but that's a little bit optimistic. Leona still is on fire. That's unfortunate for Leona. She must be getting very badly burnt at this point. Anyways, we have a moment here of relative quiet, though we've had quite a lot of action this game over, but we do have a moment of quiet currently. As what? Jinx is ulting to start off this fight here, stopping them going back to base, but oh my lord! The turnaround from Alex Mana is just insane. Another fully channeled bullet time, plus a solar flare on top of Jinx, and there's no way she can survive that, and now we have Misfortune coming in with the slow. The procs are being procced off of Leona's passive. Alex Mana is unstoppable. So Lulu goes down, trying to escape through the tri-bush, but could not quite make it in time, despite a very nice wild growth. Kept her alive, but not quite long enough. We return to the top lane where we see Yasuo coming in for a potential gank here. Jarvan taking advantage of the fact that Yasuo is absentee from his mid lane. He's going to be pushing into that turret, dropping his flag for the extra attack speed, and bringing it down. First turret of the game for blue team. Meanwhile, Exhaust is dropped into Udyr, and the turret is still standing down here, though, so they cannot chase him past that. And Udyr has wisely built into some tankier items, since the rest of his team is fairly squishy. He's decided to go with the components of either a Randuin's Helmet or a Sunfire Cape. We'll get to see which one he chooses fairly soon, I would imagine. And he's just kind of sitting in this bottom lane. Got Phoenix stance, he's going to be pushing it out with his friends. Got no reason to leave. Ahri's actually roamed down here again. He's going to turn, get the bear stance done into her. The charm did land onto Jinx, though she might be in a little bit of trouble. Here's Udyr getting burned down pretty quickly by the damage from Misfortune. Nice crit. The Ahri Foxfire flies after her, but there is the ulti from Kayle saving her life. Now Alex Mana is in trouble. Shut down from the Kayle, who teleported down. Jinx ulti going to come across and finish off the Ahri, and Leona has 2 health left. Leona, can you escape? Speed buffs flash as well from the Kayle. Double kill. Reckoning comes down onto Leona. And I don't think you can take this matchup. Vladimir, you're in trouble. Ooh, nice flash. Manages to flash them out. Coming here's Jarvan coming in. Turns around with the Hemoplague. Has some good damage coming down. Doesn't even need to lay down anymore. Whoa! Yasuo gets away with 100 health left. And it looks like he's going to be able to escape here too. That extra movement speed from the Static Shield, making sure that he keeps his distance against the Jarvan, who, while he has Boots of Mobility, were not active because of the minion wave that he ran through. So when Boots of Mobility are not active, they're essentially just as good as Brown Boots. So he could not quite keep up with the Yasuo. And yeah. Though to be fair, Yasuo did burn quite a bit to escape. And didn't get anything back himself either, so lots of fighting and nobody going down in the middle lane. As we see Udyr finishing off his blue buff and heading over to the Dragon Pit, actually. Might be going for a solo dragon here. The Udyr does have the Madstone build, where he went with Madred's Razors as well as a Spirit Stone. The Madred's Razors at this point have, of course, turned into a Feral Flare, which is what they want to do if the game goes on long enough. Burp and Mini Tank added again. Here comes the Lulu and the Ahri, though. They both want a piece of this fight. Lulu and Kayle ulti both burned at the same instant. Charm didn't quite connect. That was a little bit of a panic ult from both Kayle and Lulu. Now Alex Mana in a 1v1 with the Jinx, but he has so much more damage. Oof, 2 auto attacks doing as much work as like 3 auto attacks and a zap did from the Jinx. That's not a good sign. Here we have Yasuo rolling up to the top lane, Burp in his blood pool, but he does run out of that duration just in time to die. Devin Bennett picking up that kill on Yasuo, but here's Ari roaming around. I don't know if that was the best choice of pathing, but thankfully they weren't quite that aggressive as the charm lands back. DFG following up a little bit late. Usually want to use that at the beginning of a combo, but still not quite enough damage, and Trivectus might be in trouble now, as Jinx is certainly in trouble in the bottom lane. Does land the Flame Chompers on Misfortune, but not onto Leona, and Leona does not need any help at this point. Gets the kill back for herself. Diving past the tower to pick that one up. They just don't care anymore. They really don't care. This Misfortune and this Leona. They're going to finish off the tower right after that. And you know what? Purple Team still has a turret lead. And a gold lead. We're seeing such domination from Blue Team in the bottom lane. And in the jungle as well, to be honest. Though, actually, Udyr's doing perfectly fine. If you look at his CS, he has more CS than many of the laners in this game. And speaking of CS, he's going after that red buff. Burns it down incredibly quickly. That Phoenix stance, literally burning it down, especially with his Sunfire cape on there as well, which is what he turned those two items into. Devin Bennett down in the bottom lane. The Jinx ulti lands a little bit early, but at least it does help somewhat. Meanwhile, Kayle is down here as well, getting exhausted. Lands the slow onto Alex Mana. Knock-up lands as well. Last breath followed up right after. Mini Tank 2000 is on a rampage, and here's Udyr roaming out of the enemy team's jungle, saying, yeah, I'll help out too. Why not? Bear slaps him a little bit. Yasuo picks up the kill. And Dragon's already down. I was about to say, they should go take Dragon now, but Udyr already did that. So, Udyr is actually doing quite a bit of work as well. Despite the fact that really the early game jungle pressure, I would say, was given over to Jarvan in this game, Udyr spent that time farming, and was never really interrupted. So at this point in the game, 21 minutes or so in, Udyr is becoming a force. He's only going to get worse from here. And they have that warded. So, I'm sorry, Trivectus, but your ambush is a failure. They have a ward. They know. They know that you're there. Anyways, the ambush fails and both parties walk away. Kayle going to be going to the bot lane to split push that out. Might be caught out a little bit, though. They had a ward in her position. They flag and drag. And how badly does Jarvan want this? Is he going to Cataclysm? He doesn't quite want it that badly. Turns tail. I wouldn't say flees, but tactically retreats. Turns tail and tactically retreats doesn't sound quite as good, though. But that is kind of what happened here. And we should look at some of the builds, because we haven't really recently, and some of them have become quite interesting. Especially Lulu's. Not entirely sure what she's doing there. You know, recurve bow is just an item we don't see too often. Especially not on a support Lulu, but I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. We'll get to see how that works out for her later on, see what she builds that into. Oh my god, this Jarvan is just showing exactly how much he dominated early on this game by doing tons of damage right now. He completely 1v1s the mid laner. Not a terribly far behind mid laner either. Yasuo did perfectly fine out of the lane. He has a 30 or 40 CS lead. And yet Jarvan can still just come in, flag and drag right on top of him, and drop him into an arena and say, we're dueling. We are dueling now, and I'm going to win, and then win, consequently. That is what a 5-1 Jarvan can do. And Jinx might be a little bit out of position here. Leona waiting off in the wayside, looking to maybe get in there and get a kill off. Here comes Alex Mana circling around from behind, seeing the blade lands. Shield of Daybreak as well, and oh lord. Joker quadruple A goes down very quickly. Ooh, thankfully, the Flame Chompers there just reminded me, thankfully the visual bug has worn off from Leona at this point, so don't have to have that distraction on screen. It was confusing me once or twice. Alex Mana now maybe caught out of position by the Kayle, but Leona is there for backup. Damage turnaround is better than what the Kayle could put out there. And now Yasuo is dashing in onto the Ahri. This is a bit of an ambush set up by Blue Team, but if they don't get there quickly, it might turn around on them. However, they do get there quickly enough. Trivectus there, finishes off the kill into Devin Bennett. And you know what? Purple Team still has the gold lead, and I don't really know how. Global objectives. Global objectives is always the answer when you're confused. It's the dragons, or dragon, I think, yes, dragon, singular, that Udyr has picked up, as well as the turret lead. And, I don't know, the sort of miniature global objective that is farm. Ooh, Vladimir finds a Lulu in the tri-brush, and she is so out of position that I'm not even sure what position that was. Now, Udyr running away in his bear stance has quite a bit of movement speed, and as I was saying, this Udyr is becoming a force to be reckoned with. The purple team is on the back foot here. They're under their turret, they're being pushed up, so they're not quite leading this tango, but they certainly can tango if they must. And Leona is making the tango happen. Here comes the bullet time coming across, a lot of damage Udyr goes down, killing spree over to Jarvan. Double kill for Jarvan. They're diving under the tower. The ulti is onto Yasuo, but he's going down right after it burns away. Jarvan, triple kill. He's chasing after Jinx. He gets the Quadra. Well done. Well done by Jarvan. And well done in swapping around the aggro as well. There's heal burn by Lulu just for the speed buff. Trying to catch up to the Jarvan. Can he get the Penta? No! It is stolen away by the Orb of Deception. Ace going over to Ahri. Quadra kill going over to Jarvan. And that has given Blue Team the gold lead by 1,000. They just got a Quadra kill. They're pushing onto an inhibitor turret, and they have a gold lead of 1 or 2,000. That is a very... They're not winning, Purple Team isn't, but they've accomplished something here. They've accomplished keeping nearly even in gold and also starting to lose the game, which is a little bit of a strange thing to do. Just One Coke has picked up the kill onto the Vladimir, and there's Jarvan going down, shut down, and a double kill going over to Kayle. They overstayed. As we saw at the end of that team fight, Blue Team, nearly all of them were very low. 20% health, 30% health. At best, 40% health on, I believe, the Jarvan, actually. So sticking around that long, as we saw, turned out not to be the best plan that they had ever come up with. It did give a double kill over to Kayle as well as a kill to Udyr. And this might be an opportunity for a Purple Team to go for the Baron call, though, to be fair, Vladimir just revived, and Misfortune's on the revive very soon, and Yasuo is a little bit caught out of position, does block the DFG as well, some damage from the Foxfire, and here comes Lulu behind. She has that Sorcerer Shoes as well as the attack speed. She's doing some decent damage, but Ahri manages to survive with her passive just in time to go down to the Reckoning as Kayle shows up. Seriously considered that Lulu was going to be getting that kill, though. Here's the Kayle now caught out of position in the little arena with the Jarvan. Shutdown goal going over to him. He gets his revenge. But Udyr's doing what Udyr does, and he's getting the dragon. While his team is off doing team things, he's killing jungle monsters. Big and small. Ooh, might be in a little bit of trouble, though. A little bit too cocky standing there taunting, but apparently not. He's able to spam out his stances. It is stance revolution. He manages to get away pretty easily. And for Blue Team is off of the back of all of those kills. Going to be pushing out a few lanes, actually. There's Vladimir up in the top, using Tides of Blood to clear out the minion waves very quickly, and Transfusion to replenish that health. Take down the turret. He doesn't take that down quite as quickly, but he will eventually bring it down. Those little splashes of Crimson do eventually do some work, but actually we see the Udyr teleport up there to stop that from happening. I mentioned it earlier once, but we've had so much action that I didn't get to quite go in as depth as I would have liked to. Udyr did choose to go teleport smite this game, which means he's really going for that map pressure, that late game Udyr. And Lulu is caught out of position, going down very quickly, but she has the speed buff from Talisman, so she manages to escape for now. Now Udyr is here along with Kayle. The Zonius comes out from Kayle just to keep herself alive a little bit longer. She's going down, though, in the 1v1 with the Misfortune. Double kill for Udyr so far, though, and he is wreaking havoc. This is the point in the game where he really starts to roll. Gets the triple kill. Now it's only Leona left to face off against him. Ahri has chased off after the Jinx, and Leona is no match. Quadra kill. And can Udyr chase down the Fox Lady and get himself a Penta? Keep watching and we will find out. She's running through the jungle, trying to get back to safety, but Udyr is very quick. Meanwhile, though, super minions are pushing into the base. Both Nexus turrets have fallen. Udyr, this isn't worth it. I know you want your Penta, but there are super minions. Udyr! He's chasing, he's ignited. He's actually going down very low himself. He might be in trouble here. Charm doesn't quite land. He has the turtle stance and the bear stance to escape with. But Joker Quadra A nearly goes down to the super minions, and both Nexus turrets do. That's bad. That is in fact not a good thing. Purple Team is should not be happy with this. And Udyr got a little bit greedy for that pentakill. It's understandable. Pentakills are pretty great. I like getting them myself, though to be fair, I don't too often. But not really worth losing the game over. Though to be fair, they didn't actually lose the game. Jinx was able to defend with her rockets long enough to kill off enough of those super minions that they didn't quite lose, but they came as near as possible to losing without actually losing. They've lost everything that stands in the way of them and defeat aside from the actual defeat screen. Udyr going to finish off his blue buff. He can take these things. He can take these things so very quickly now. We might have a little bit of a problem here. Oh my god. The happy feet on that Udyr, dodging out perfectly the Zenith Blade and the Flagon Drag. He was getting collapsed upon, but it's very hard to catch an Udyr past 30 minutes or so, especially one who's farming up as good as this guy is. He's got the highest CS in the game on an Udyr jungle. That's a recipe for a very difficult to catch Birdman. Turtle, pig, tiger, plane, creature, whatever Udyr is. So many different things, sometimes I lose track. There's a little bit of a strange wind wall. Perhaps he thought they were trying to come around behind them, but that is exactly what Purple Team is doing. The Blue Team here. The Ahri forced to ult away from the Udyr, but he's so quick he can keep chasing, but he's in a 3v1 right now, and I don't think even he can do that. Gets the kill and the Lulu at the same time as he's leaving combat. That's a little bit of a wasted ult right there from both Kale and Lulu, and here's Leona coming around from the side with the Vladimir, but they're cut off from the rest of their team. Flame Chompers holds up Vladimir. Leona flashes back in. Some good damage from the Jarvan coming out into the Yasuo. Ahri picks up the kill onto Lulu as Leona falls, but Jinx, despite getting the kill back, goes down herself immediately thereafter. Blue team really cleaning up that fight. And you know, I think the majority of that is due to the fact that the kill and Lulu ultis were both just kind of wasted there. Really wasted. The Udyr, they thought the Udyr was going to be the front line, which is of course what he was doing and it was his job, but there was a lot of miscommunication there because they thought that Udyr was going to be right next to 3 people and really needing those ultis. But Udyr read that his team wasn't quite with him, so he started backing away. And just at the instant where he decided, okay, my team's not quite here yet, I'm going to back away and give them time to show up, the team was like, we're here, let's ult! And so it ended up with Udyr kind of haphazardly running away while the ultis were on him and just kind of wasting all of that potential to tank, but there's a surrender vote coming out. Point is moot anyway. Blue team wins the game. Well played by everybody. GG. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked what you saw, be sure to leave a like, a subscribe, a comment, whatever it is that you feel up to doing. Anyways, if you want your replay to be featured on the series, just check the description. You can figure out how to do that down there. And a lot more. I'll be back tomorrow.